Julie, thank you so much for joining us today. We're both at the Are You Prepared for the Apprenticeship Levy conference here in Coventry, West Midlands. I take it, we were talking earlier on, I know you're not local, you've come from Leeds.
That's right.
Yorkshire today. First time at the conference, have you?
Yes, it's my first time at the conference. Not the first time at a conference, been at many within the sector, but the first time here. So when Lindsay gave me the call and asked if I'd come and speak, I was very pleased to do so. Timing's been great because of the announcements out on Monday. Lots to discuss. Yeah. There's still clarity needed in some areas, and it depends which area you work in as to what you need clarification on. But I thought the SFA did a good job this morning. They're here for a couple of hours.
They spent a couple of hours. They went through their normal process.
They did. They did.
Shared a lot of information with us. In terms of obviously, you're a speaker here today. You've done your speaking slot. Just tell us a little bit about the sort of things that you've covered.
I was asked to speak on the angle in relation to childcare. So cash, we write qualifications within the childcare sector, and that's primarily what we're known for, though we cover health and social care and play work and support teaching and learning as well. And one of the major issues that we have in the sector is the barrier on progression of the learner from a level 2 to a level 3, and then to be employed as a level 3 practitioner. So in order to lead and manage a setting, a childcare setting, you have to have a level 3, and to be included in the ratios, it must be level 3 practitioners. And one of the issues is that when the National College on Teaching and Leadership brought in the early years educator criteria on the 1st of September 2014, it was mandatory that on entry to employment as a level 3 that you had GCSE Maths and English.
GCSE Maths and English.
GCSE Maths and English. That's obviously caused a huge issue in a sector where quite often a lot of women particularly come back in and retrain. So they may have done a degree in other years, but they may have done a degree with get into university with functional skills.
Just to clarify that, we're not talking about level 2 Maths and English, we're actually talking about GCSE.
We're actually talking about GCSE Maths and English. Right. Now, Cathy Nutt-Brown, in her review, and More Great Childcare, she said level 2 Maths and English. That's what she wanted. She believed that the workforce should be qualified to level 2, but she never stipulated GCSE. The Department for Education, through the National College of Teaching and Leadership, made that GCSE.
How has that affected the sector, Julie, in terms of obviously this GCSE sort of benchmark that they've has our training of providers been affected? Has there been anybody, obviously you're as an awarding body, you're very well known for that particular sector, so there must have been some conversation or something that's coming in from
huge providers. Absolutely huge, to the point that in April this year we led and are leading the Save Our Early Years campaign to gather the voice of the sector together. In the absence of a sector skills council, which we don't have for childcare, there was nobody to be that voice for us. So
you're as a awarding body, you've picked that up, have you?
Yes, because we felt a moral obligation to do so, and that has given a voice to practitioners, to people who run settings now without Maths and English GCSE, who are running outstanding settings without Maths and English GCSE, and who are saying this isn't tenable. We can't. No. And with other sectors where, for health and social care, for example, or support teaching and learning apprenticeships, you can do with functional skills, but you can't with childcare. So all we need is, this is a very quick fix, and we want to support the new ministers to be able to say functional skills, Maths and English, level 2 is acceptable as an equivalent to GCSEs in the childcare
Has
sector.
there been any feedback coming in from ministers or from civil servants in terms of, are they listening? Or?
They are listening. Some, obviously, Brexit and the
Yeah,
change
there's been a lot of change,
there's been a lot of
yeah,
change in the last few months.
Yeah.
Sam Giemer announced at a conference in May that there would be a workforce review group that would be established in the autumn. That is still due to happen.
Yes.
And we are meeting with ministers. We have individual meetings with the minister, and we're seeing Caroline Dinage, and Justine Greening is listening. So it is, in fact, Caroline is quoted as saying that we understand that it's not just about formal education, that we need to look at other routes other than an academic route. And GCSE is a classic example of one size not fitting all. If after many years of formal education our young people are coming out without achieving their grade C, how can we be expected to turn that round in 12 months?
Hopefully there'll be some good news. Hopefully, if they are listening, and we'll hear hopefully some good news. I'm sure we'll keep in touch in terms of any updates from
Absolutely.
from yourself. But just generally in terms of the actual sector, the childcare sector, can you just tell us a little bit about the size of it? I mean, is it a big employer? What's the sort of dynamics and the mix of the sector as well as a whole?
Yeah, well, in my talk earlier today, I put up the skills plan that was produced in July this year.
Yeah.
And within that, the training for childcare and education was the fifth biggest sector of 1.06 million there was within the sector.
Yeah.
So taking that into consideration, it's big.
Yeah.
That's obviously not including what will possibly be another big sector, which is also the home-based childcare element, because there's a lot of home-based childcarers that don't access training, but they do a lot of CPD. They provide care for our children. They're part of membership organisations as well.
The child vendors and so forth.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's a large sector that cash has been in since 1945, and in fact, cash was set up by the Ministry of Health to provide care for the war orphans. And our history goes back through health, and people forget sometimes that childcare is actually very important as part of the health sector, not just as part of education sector. I think that's a really important thing to remember.
As a sector, Julie, I mean, is it mainly SME employers? Is it mainly small businesses that are running in this sector?
Yes, it is.
I would imagine it's mainly the sort
It is mainly small businesses. I mean, obviously there are nursery schools that run and provide early education within the school environments.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it is SME providers, which is why the apprenticeship levy is a challenge for some, because they've got to understand that this is something completely different to the way funding has worked traditionally.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it is mainly SME sector.
Okay. Cash is. I mean, I know you're well known for the cash, and you've got a whole history there in terms of obviously, in terms of the brand itself. But it's very diversified now in terms of qualifications, in terms of actually the work that you do. Do you mind just telling us a little bit about some of the things that you're involved with?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. We have diversified. It was very logical to diversify into health and social care, and that actually came through our centres. A lot of the faculties within colleges, childcare and health and social care, sit side by side, and they were saying, we want the same in health and social care, which is what we've done and how we have expanded our portfolio. Running alongside that is support teaching and learning, which sits very nicely. If the nursery nurse is working with young children from the age of from 0 to 5, and then we provide support teaching and learning qualifications for teaching assistants through primary education, and in addition play work, which sits in out of school provision and play work provision that can be associated with early years or not. So there's lots of flexibility and versatility there. The organisation has merged over its period of time. Formerly we were the National Nursery Examination Board, the NNEB, and then became CASH, the Council for Awards in Care, Health and Education. And then last September we merged with NCFE, and our qualifications are awarded by NCFE. So that has enabled us to have the best of two really good institutions. NCFE have great technology, breadth of offer, really good customer service. And when we looked at our profiles as two organisations, we were very, very similar. Very similar. So we've taken the best of both and brought them together with a really good synergy.
Okay.
So there's exciting times for us, and yes, I feel we've worked wonders in the care sector, but there's still a long way to go.
Still a long way to go. Okay. I mean, we're at the Levy Apprenticeship Levy conference, and
Yes.
obviously we're talking about apprenticeships as a whole. In terms of other qualifications, I mean, is Cash involved with, and is the NCFE as involved with sort of single qualifications and other sort of qualifications, maybe advanced learning loans funding? And, you know, how big a market is that for yourself? Is that an important market? Is that a growing market?
Well, for Cash, last year we had the second and the fourth largest provision with advanced learner loans.
Wow.
With our certificate and diploma in support teaching and learning.
Yeah.
So for us, the adult learner loan sector is large.
And is that growing? Julie,
It is growing, and the reason it's growing as well is the expansion into level 4, level 5 as well. So the opportunities there, and also it's not as restricted on it being a first level. Don't get me into the detail of it, but from an opportunities perspective, there's definitely more opportunity.
So a lot of graduates or people looking to retrain or
exactly. Previously, those doors would have been closed, whereas now they're open.
So advanced learning loans is a good opportunity for training providers to look at, and you know there's growth in that.
There is, and actually for our sector, where there's still quite a number of adults that come back into childcare, because as I said previously, we have a lot of people that come in and retrain. So they maybe do a degree, they go off and work and have a family and decide that they want to work term time or whatever it may be and retrain. And this option now to be able to fund your qualification rather than going a very old route, which would have been volunteering, waiting to get put onto a training programme, you can then jump in and do it and pay it off at a very reduced rate, really.
Julie, as an awarding organisation, I mean, are you supporting training providers with the transition taking place with the levy and the changes that are taking place? Is there much support? Are you thinking about how you could support your customers, your training providers that are working with your good selves?
Absolutely. Webinars seems to be the way to go. Yes, webinars. We also do regional events through our sales teams. Both NCFE and Cash have localised networking events where we are providing the most up-to-date information all of the time. We provide funding newsletter that comes out monthly, so that we're giving people as up-to-date picture in that meets the needs of the sector we're working in, because to sometimes adapt all of the information, and the stuff that came out on Monday, there's a lot of pages to go through, and depending on your needs, you may only need to be looking at part of it. So what we try to do is to make it as contextualised as we possibly can for the sector that we work in. But as I said in my talk earlier, always referencing the key documents so that the onus is on the provider at the end of the day to have the right information. We try as much as possible to signpost people in the right way. But there's so much information out there, and everybody's doing a similar thing. That's right. But I can't remember a time with as much change as this in recent times. Okay.
So how is life as an awarding organisation? The changes. Is endpoint assessment something that you're going to be looking at?
Yes.
There's a lot of uncertainty as well. But is there opportunity for yourselves?
Absolutely. There's opportunity. Endpoint assessment definitely has to be in there as an opportunity, as an organisation, and as an opportunity. And I say it again from a duty of care, really, to ensure that our young people, when they've done their training, are endpoint assessed by credible institutions, and that they have portability as well, because it's really important that they have the ability to transfer their knowledge through their career, and that piece of paper has to be really credible at the end of the day.
Okay. Julie, thank you so much for your time today. Again, as a big speaker for the conference, and again, really appreciate talking to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.